Russ Spiegel, and welcome to 5 Minutes With, where I get to meet and speak for 5 minutes with interesting people, or at least people I find interesting from the creative world. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my other videos on this channel, and I do have a Patreon page if you'd like to help support these endeavors. Today's guest is the world-traveled musician, composer, arranger. He's an associate professor of jazz studies at Michigan State University. He's a Guggenheim Fellow and quite possibly the best-dressed man in jazz, Etienne Charles. Etienne, how you doing?
Hey, Russ, it's good to see you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I actually dressed up for you because I'm not usually dressed this nice, and then
My apologies. I believe it or not, I've been cleaning up my place, and so I have all my suits zipped up right now.
Oh man, that's all good. Hey, I got just a few questions for you. Let's start off. Where are you from? Where are you now? And how did you end up there?
I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. I am in Okemos, Michigan. I ended up here by taking up an appointment at Michigan State University, where I've been teaching for the last 11 years. Before that, I was in Florida. I did my bachelor's at Florida State University and then my master's at the Juilliard School. After 3 years of freelancing in New York, 1 year out of school, I took up the position here at Michigan State University, and that's how I ended up here in Okemos, Michigan.
Wow, that's a big move there. How did you end up choosing your particular instrument? And I don't know if everybody knows what you play, so if you want to tell them.
I play the trumpet, and I didn't choose the trumpet. My uncle sent me a trumpet when I was 10, and then I just started playing it, and that was that.
What would you say the hardest thing is to do on your instrument?
Everything. I would say, the trumpet is a very challenging instrument. I'd say playing really long gigs, really long solos, really long recording sessions are hard on the instrument. And by long, I mean like 8-hour gig,
Wow.
12, 13, 14-hour sessions. But, that's why we practice. We practice to develop the endurance to be able to execute. Some people say playing high is hard. Some people say playing fast is hard. I'm of the view that anything difficult is a combination of a bunch of simple things. So I keep that in mind when I'm working on my craft.
Nice. Actually, my first instrument was the trumpet, and I had quit that to play guitar. And years ago, I went back to try to play it again, and I realized after about 3 minutes, it was not in the cards for me.
Yeah, I know so many former trumpet players that end up on rhythm section, like Herlin Riley was a trumpet player.
Really?
He still plays. Kevin Bales is a trumpet player. He actually played in college as well. There are a lot of people that were trumpet players that ended up playing their rhythm section instrument.
That's so interesting. And when you compose, do you compose on a particular instrument?
I mean, I actually compose all over. So sometimes I write at the piano. Sometimes I write at the quattro. Sometimes I write I'm sitting on a cajon right now. So sometimes I'll write at my cajon. I have a pair of conga drums right here. Sometimes I write to the congas. Sometimes I'll go to the trumpet to kind of construct a melody. It varies, and I think the variation or the variety is good, because if all tunes are written the same way, they sound like they've come from the same. Because I also have a bass, so sometimes I write from the bass as well. So I might write a bass line and then make a loop in GarageBand, come up with an A section, then maybe sit at the piano to write the bridge, or then maybe sit at the cajon to come up with like some sort of interlude. Yeah. So it's varying, but there are a few different processes. But at the end, I always try to have like a low, a middle, and a high.
What does being successful mean to you?
Not having to compromise what I want to do, and being able to figure out ways to do it without spending all of my money. But as I get a little bit older, it's more about being able to really get a proper statement out artistically and not really care about the impact. It's more about knowing that you have something to say and making it as clear as possible, whether it needs to be beautiful or if it needs to be stark or if it needs to be really blunt or really bitter or really direct. And so my different albums have kind of gone in different directions with that in mind. So like Creole Soul was like it was a statement, but it was on the sweeter side. Like San Jose Sweet was really blunt. Carnival was like really stark, and it was everyone is kind of a different way of making a statement.
Here's one for you. If you could do one thing differently, what would it be?
Musically or otherwise.
Anything.
I would have probably figured out a way to buy property earlier. Yeah, I would have probably figured out how to invest in property a little bit earlier. But I've been lucky. I own all of my recordings. I've never worked with a record label, and I've been lucky enough to be able to tour and support each album. And not being on a record label means I don't really have to have as high expectations in terms of sales, because it just comes back to me and it doesn't go to like 50 other people. And if I could do anything else different, I would have probably practiced even more.
Wow.
I would have
Really?
I would have probably practiced
Okay.
I would have practiced like 4 hours a day
Woo.
in high school if I could, instead of like an hour.
Well, when we're younger, we have other interests and priorities.
Yeah, I just it just wasn't allowed. It's too late, and my sister had homework to do, and it's the whole story.
Trumpet's not the quietest of instruments, that's for sure.
And it's funny now. My neighbors come and my neighbors come to my gigs when I'm in Trinidad, and they're like, we used to hate when you practice. But, we're glad we didn't call the police on you.
Okay, quick questions for you. Your favorite place to visit?
For vacation or for work?
Just your favorite place.
Right now, I'm really infatuated with ECOWAS, specifically like Benin, Togo, Ghana, that region. I've been spending a lot of time in West Africa over the last 6 months to a year, and so I'm really obsessed with that. I mean, I've been going for years, but yeah, if I had to choose one, I would probably say Cotonou and Benin. Is my favorite.
Favorite or comfort food?
Roti from Trinidad.
What would you put in there?
I would put goat. Yeah, I would do it with curry goat.
Okay, and last question. Any advice for our viewers?
Support musicians. And if you're a musician, support musicians as well. Just because we are in the craft doesn't mean we get away from having to support the craft. If we support each other, we all rise. If we don't support each other, nobody rises. We'll only be able to come out of it if we support each other. So yeah, support musicians, listen to their music, buy their music, avoid streaming services that do not pay them a cent, literally, that do not pay them a cent. Buy their music, give them donations if you can, figure out ways to get your friends on board to support them as well, because that's the only way we're really going to get out of this.
Awesome. Well, Etienne, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to share.
Thank you, man. No problem. Thank you. This was great. I was having fun.
Awesome. Thanks for listening and watching. Have a great one.